Oh, crap. I actually made it before midnight. I was afraid I was not going to be able to do that. Let me just silence this Discord for a second. There's somebody's Discord channel is just off the hook with all these notifications. Gone. All right. Anybody want to add something to the chat? Go right ahead. So before we begin on the topic that I decided to talk about today, I'll tell you that yesterday I didn't post a good video. The only video I posted was that I was not going to be streaming, just to let you guys know. And was it like a cop out for my dedication to posting every night? Yeah, but A, I was tired, and B, I'm not so full of myself to think that you guys need me every fucking day. Like when I say that, I'm not vain enough to talk about every topic that I know nothing about, just for you guys to see me daily, and that I don't pick what I'm going to talk about, like with the trending topics on Twitter, and then go to like some subreddit to tell me what to talk about. The reason why is just like I have explored my own vanity. And yes, everybody who has a YouTube channel has a little bit of vanity in them, just a little bit. Like, I think they should take narcissistic personality disorder and like modify it so that it could be like given a different scale for YouTubers, because I don't feel like YouTubers are narcissistic. But if you were to look at just the criteria, they would, check all the boxes just for wanting to be seen and getting gratification from the likes and up thumbs and the comments and whatnot. And so, yeah. Anyways, I just didn't feel like I had anything good to give yesterday. But I'm back with at least a modicum of being able to share, because there's like this really this threshold of quality that I want to give you guys, and if I can't meet it, I can't meet it. And there's going to be some days where I just post a short video and be done with it. I can't stream for you guys. Phantom Line, I don't know why it says you're a moderator here, because I don't see the little wrenchy thing next to your name. And also, you're asking if this is going to be every night. I have posted either a video or done a stream every day since late January. And we are now on, well, it's April 2nd now, but the stream started on April 1st. So I have one video for each of the days that has happened since then. I've got a good streak going for daily upload, even though my my subscriber count does not reflect anything better. You'd think that the algorithm would start rewarding me for daily uploading. No, I'm fucked. They know who I am, or at least that software program has figured me out. I am not good entertainment material. I'm keeping you guys from watching other things that they could be making more money off of, with better ads. Phantom Line is saying he wants to do a midnight show, but his midnight show is going to happen before my midnight show. And that way he could just undercut me and get all of the viewers first, and they'd all go to his show, and then nobody would come to my show. I think that's what his point is. Medical Vitriol wants to know if JJ Talks is, have I talked to JJ Talks, and is she okay if I know? Um, I don't know anything that's recently happened to her, but uh, the things that I saw a couple days ago on Twitter, hold on, she's about to become part of my stream, even though, you know, I hate to talk about people behind their back here, but do let's go right there. All right. Looks like she's okay. She's tweeting about Half-Life 3, retweeting people. I don't see anything wrong with her Twitter. She's retweeting a lot of people. But anyways, um, on this post that happened on the 28th of March, she posted that she got a wedding ring from her boyfriend. And so, yeah, you can also see retweets about that from her boyfriend and her mom on Twitter. So, oh, sorry, medical vitriol. I will not contact her by putting it on the spot. I have called up people before just to ask them how they are. Hillary says her point stands. Um, okay, so you guys are already talking about the title of my show today. And what I wanted to say was I left the debate for a long time between atheists and theists, right? I have not been discussing it a lot. I figured that I would go on to other topics that, like, when I heard those words, they weren't so psychically like in my head, from hearing them all the time. So if I hear about a topic way, way too much for months on end, I might get there. I might get burned out on it, right? So I go and I become a counselor, right? And I'm talking with people about their everyday issues. Sometimes it's about addictions, which is my little niche that I've been able to work in for the last 5 years. But also, uh, hashtag first world problems come up. Uh, I think there are constants in life that you cannot get away from. And one of those constants I usually talk about to my addiction counseling clients is that connection with other people is very important, right? And my YouTube audience gets that a little bit more. That you know, human beings being a social creature goes crazy when we put someone in like solitary confinement. That's actually like a bad punishment because you don't get to talk to other people and you just start going stir crazy, right? And so right now we're in this shutdown order from all the different governors, like almost all of them. There are still states in America that aren't under stay-at-home orders, right? But there's a lot of people going stir crazy, and so me doing telehealth and talking to a whole bunch of people all day, I come across certain constants all the time, right? And they're getting worse. People's connection to each other is not as good as it could be without quarantining and self quarantining and whatnot. And in that, like, themes bubble up to the surface, right? I can see what is making people anxious. And one of those things that the COVID-19 disease, spreading across the country is creating is a lot of uncertainty, right? And the biggest bit of that is when people are in denial about how bad this is, and the uncertainty leads them to say statements that are patently false, like, "Oh, this is going to be no worse than the flu," and wondering when we're going to be able to get the country uh, back to working, back to where it used to be, wondering what day this is all going to let up. That uncertainty of not knowing what day we're going to be able to get back to work, that kills people on the inside, you know. And being a people watcher, I'm just observant of this phenomenon as it's happening, and I relate it in patterns to things that I've seen before, movements that I've seen before, like here on YouTube, right? And so one of those things that I relate it to is when people would tell me, well, you got to believe in something. You have to have faith in something, you know. And I would explain that, faith has different connotations to it. And I don't believe in a magical ability for God to shoot down a special decoder ring to me, whereby if I blindly believe in him, then I can see magical passages that happen in between the lines of what's actually printed in the Bible. And I can see the actual true meaning. And only if I give myself up to blindly believing without requiring evidence and facts will I ever get this true knowledge of spirituality. I don't believe in that kind of faith, right? I do have confidence in things. And so, because faith has this other connotation of confidence, I go with confidence because confidence doesn't have a magical connotation to it. If I see something work a few times, I might be confident that it's going to work again, right? That's as close to faith as I like to get with my admissions of where my confidence is, because people will shoehorn in, oh, well, if you have faith magically in this, then you could have faith magically in that. Why not? You know? But beside that, people will say to me, theists usually, they will say, well, if you don't believe in anything, where did the world come from? Right? Did it come from the Big Bang? Do you just have faith in the Big Bang? And my answer to this, which is very unsettling to a lot of theists, is I don't know, and I'm okay with not knowing. And this is something that I think, even if you wanted to remain a religious person, you could apply this to a lot of how religion is used in this present day, because religion used to be a celebration of the unknown and magical and mystical. But now it seems to be a bludgeon whereby you declare that you know, and that those who don't agree with you, the unknowing, need to be beaten into knowing, you know. And it didn't used to be that way. It didn't used to be that you had to use religion to be certain of things. You could use religion to be okay with being uncertain. So I'm not bashing anyone who's chosen to be an atheist or a theist, right? That's beside the point that I'm trying to make. I'm saying I am a non-believer, and I have chosen to be okay with uncertainty, right? If you're not okay with uncertainty, you're going to be very vulnerable in a very painful way that will bring shame, right? Shame, as in like a fear that you're going to be disconnected from the rest of a group, you know, because you're afraid of like what's going to happen if I get disconnected from this thing. That sort of shame will build up. I see Hillary agrees in the comment section. Anyways, I what I want to get at is when someone's pressing you for why don't you have my belief, you can be okay with not knowing and not making a decision, you know. And for many atheists, this is the most honest position that they can have, and that's why they're there, you know. Hillary says being wrong is against the law for some people. LOL. Yeah, um, I would even say that being right here on YouTube has been a form of currency, whereby if somebody is found to be wrong, it's then assumed that all the smart people will leave that person as a subscriber and go to the person who proved them to be wrong. So you see larger YouTubers get torn down by smaller YouTubers who just want to point out their faults in order to gain subscribers for being the pointer outer of faults, you know. And it really betrays them that they don't make assertions of their own because they're afraid of ever being wrong, right? Because that would bring some uncertainty. Like, what would it be like if I put an assertion out there and said, hey, this is what I believe. Can you guys prove me wrong? And then they were wrong? Oh my goodness. You know? So what we have is a bunch of people who don't explore their own beliefs. They're not reachable on their own beliefs because all they do is point the finger at other people. They make videos chopping up other people's videos, inserting themselves into other people's videos to point out everything that's wrong about that person, while simultaneously making as few positive assertions that they can possibly make, because that each and every positive assertion would be an Achilles heel that somebody might attack. You know, it's better to keep the eyes on the enemy. You know, as we're friends together, you the viewer and me the deconstructor, as we take apart somebody else's content, right? And so original content creators become fewer and fewer because it takes a lot of courage, meaning facing vulnerability, courage to make original content, right? So you see me night after night. I'm not trying to tear down other YouTubers that I don't have to, if that's not what I want to talk about, because truly, I believe that we can have original content created right here. And if somebody were to lift one of my clips and prove me wrong, I'm not going to have a heart attack over it. You know, if the currency of YouTube is when somebody else is righter than you, you're basically spinning the wheel of fortune and then you just land on bankrupt and everything you've ever built as far as a subscriber base is then going to leave you and go to them. Okay, they'll leave. You know, my definitions of friendship, in this age of social media haven't really changed from before we had all these newfangled gadgets in our lives. Friends might actually have an allowance for you to be wrong every now and again and maybe help you through that. Alan wants to know, will you have a heart attack? Is the question. Big red question mark. Could. My blood pressure is perfect. My weight is not. I'm probably going to gain the COVID-19, not the actual disease, that just 19 extra pounds from sitting on my ass, doing telehealth and barking on YouTube every day. Bugsy says, I just make a correction video. Isn't that proper? It used to be easier, actually, to make a correction video because on the original video, you could annotate that this has been corrected and then send people to the correction, you know? Thank you, Phoenix Writer, for thinking that something I said today was clever. Phantom Lion wants me to take up dancing, even though I broke both of my legs in separate occasions last year, and they both hurt. I will dance when I'm able to dance. Probably going to snowboard or sled before that, though, because it just looks like a little bit more fun for me. Phantom Lion says dancing helps keep your weight down. Let me tell you what's going to help you keep my weight down whilst I have some phallic looking things pointing at my face. Let me tell you what's going to help you keep my weight down. Thank you all for your weight loss tips. I found that the biggest thing that helps me with my weight loss is getting enough sleep. So getting at least like 8 hours of sleep a day and getting good sleep, making sure that you're not snoring or, airway obstructed at all, not having any sleep apnea, stuff like that. And, having at least those 8 hours in the day where you don't have anything with any caloric value right next to you. That's some people do like a 16-8 where they're trying to eat within an 8-hour window, and then the 16 hours they fast each day. I've gotten that from a couple of my coworkers that works for them. Uh, I at least have the opposite, where I have food available for 16 hours and then I'm asleep for 8. Alan says he used to take protein shakes just to put on weight. That's my brother, Jeff. He used to do that, and his kids complained that his farts smelled too bad, and he had to stop doing protein shakes because his kids couldn't stand his farts. Okay. One of these days, he's going to actually start watching my YouTube channel, and he's going to be angry for all the little stories I've told. Um, Phantom Lion said, "Movie time, peace, Michael. Go punch Xi Jinping in the balls." I have no idea what he's talking about. But yeah, I guess if people are having major life changes right now, they're going to be thinking about like, what could I do to improve my health, improve my hireability, you know? And number one thing, if you're quarantined for like a month or two, maybe get a haircut before you go to a job interview, because my hair is just beginning to start to go all wolf man on me. And yeah, by the time I'm done with this, if I wanted to go to a different job interview, I'd be, needing a trim. Um, but yeah, uh, unfortunately, all the gyms are closed because of social distancing, and I don't know when they're going to reopen. And that is a weird thing, that people are going to see gyms actually lose their revenue for like the first time in a long time, because gyms, they make their money on people thinking that they're going to use them but not actually using the gym. Like, for every 10 people, if one person were to use the gym regularly, for the amount of subscriptions they sell for such a low price to everyone, um, if just 10% of the people actually showed up, they'd lose money. They're betting that it's like less than 5% of people will show up and regularly use the gym. So that subscription model, I think, is what people are going to look at in this time of not having a lot of money, you know, people out of a job, or, having less of a job to work. That just happened to me. I just lost about $600 a month out of my budget. So, where are you going to make that up? Well, that gym membership that I'm not using for the next couple months because they're closed for social distancing, I can get rid of that, you know? And then maybe some people will start revolting against other companies that have gone to that same manipulative subscription practice, such as, Adobe After Effects. Is there some other program that you can use that can do the same thing, that doesn't charge you monthly for access, where some months you don't even use it? So why should you subscribe to it for like the whole year? You know, Principled Uncertainty says get an Oculus Quest and play games and keep fit. Um, yeah, that's another way to do it. Um, Phoenix Writer says, I used to manage a gym. If everyone who was a member showed up, we couldn't fit them in with a shoehorn. There you go, right from a gym manager. Uh, People who are up at the front desk of a gym, they are there to smile and say, "Yeah, this will get you fit." We see people come in here all the time and change their lives. They are selling you the dream of you actually maybe using the gym, but not too much. Not so much that you're actually going to follow through. They just sell you enough so that they can get you at that low price tag of, $20 a month, if that. I think Planet Fitness had like a 9.99 deal going for a little while, you know. But it was like $30 if you wanted to be able to use their. Uh, they had the massage chair and the. It was a chair that looked like my recliner here, right? And then it was that vibrating chair with like the legs of it had like molded leg holes for you to put your legs in. There was that one, right? But then there was the hydro massage, which also was extra. And then they had a standing tanning bed, and then a standing cryo thing where like it would freeze you for like 5 minutes, and you get all and all that stuff was like in a separate room, like an arcade, right? And then you had to pay like $30 a month to get access to those things. But then like all the regular exercise shit, 9.99. Wow. Coherent Nonsense said that some lady went to the grocery store in a town of 10,000 and started coughing on all the meat, and she got arrested, and they had to throw away like $30,000 worth of meats. Shit. You know, um, Crazy times, crazy times. I actually know of different companies that are having to do uh, decon at night, and I know I have people that I run into that do the decon. Those companies are overworked. If you guys want a job in this sort of weird economy, there are jobs out there. Go apply at Walmart and King Supers. You know, and I know that some people don't envision themselves working at Walmart or King Supers, but given that King Supers is hiring at that $15 an hour mark that also Amazon is hiring at, you know, and $18 if you know how to run a forklift, you know, how much better than minimum wage did you want to work? Because I can tell you, as somebody with a degree and certifications with the state, even I'm wondering, like, wow, are they going to raise minimum wage one day to more than I'm making? Because it looks like they're on that trajectory. Oh my goodness. Ice Cream Bob is in the chat, people. Uh, I have no idea why though, because this is definitely past his bedtime. I don't know if Ice Cream Bob has ever felt this way, but when I thought that I was a Christian, I was under age 7, but I actually thought like maybe it was a sin to be awake from like 11 p.m. till like 5 a.m. And if you peeked open your eyes, right, maybe you could get away with like going to the bathroom, but God wants people asleep when it's dark, right? That's why God created the dark. He's shutting the eyelids of the entire planet to tell you all, hey, it's time to shut your eyelids, and light bulbs and matches and flashlights. That's cheating, right? When it's dark, you're supposed to be sleeping. That's the natural way. And where Ice Cream Bob is, it is like Florida, right? I assume the last time I checked, right? So that's different time zone for me. I know that I'm up late because I'm a heathen anyway, but you're like in the danger zone, in the witching hour, if you are in the East Coast time zone, right? So Robert, he just said, "I'm watching the world die." Oh well. I wish that it was easier to do hangouts like it used to be because I just pull them right in. It was so convenient, but now I'm at a loss. Yeah. So he said he's watching the world dying. Let me see. I'm gonna check the world stats right now. Do 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 do. We are almost at 1 million cases confirmed. Uh, Johns Hopkins still says 937,000 cases right now, but I think that tomorrow it'll be 1 million cases confirmed. Poseidon wants to know who Ice Cream Bob is. That's Raw right there, dude. Like from when like the earlier times in my YouTube channel. That is him right there, Raw. Yep, he just gave his YouTube channel out. If you don't recognize him, you don't deserve your badge of having like 7,000 comments on my channel. Robert says Florida's closed tomorrow. That's great. Welcome to the club. Guess what? The people in your city and your state have been walking around with coronavirus infecting everyone without a mandatory stay at home order for way too long. Um, Texas also should get a little bit tighter on that shit and not just have it be city by city. Coherent Nonsense says he always dreamed of nuclear winter or an asteroid impact growing up, never dreamed of pneumonia. Um, yeah, Phantom Lion, ironically, this is weird. So he's got his face that he wears in front of everybody, right? And uh, it's been a weird thing where like he's put this face on for all of us for like a whole decade. And ironically, what's going to get him killed now is touching his face. Coherent nonsense. Thinking about nuclear winter or an asteroid impact. Like, can you imagine dinosaurs, right? Running along like, ah, there's an asteroid coming for the Earth. Ah. Um, what about like, when are the businesses going to reopen? We need to reopen by Easter. Uh, I'm pretty sure I've I've probably touched my face like 5 or 6 times in just this live stream, you know? So, Robert, I'm going to put a channel in the chat. It's a channel that I want you to go check out today. Somebody who I think might be able to use your help, maybe not. Okay. Okay. So his name is Kane Cordova. Personal friend of mine, lives in a different part of Denver where he's quarantined right now. And he said that after he talked about some spiritual issues, right, he was sleeping and he felt actual hands grasping around his neck, choking him while he was sleeping, but there was no one there. Right. And he woke up to feeling like he was being strangled. Like, can't make this up. It's like the last video he just uploaded yesterday. Okay. Please check it out. So he considers himself to be uh, a spiritual healer now. He's trying to do healing work, and he's basically dabbling in hoodoo. He makes gree bags. It's spelled like gris, but it's gree bags. And he tries to give his gree bags to people for good luck. And after starting doing this, he has been having all of these symptoms, like what I would call uh, demonic assault, you know, um, straight out of like the Exorcist movie. So please, everybody who thinks that they can help him with a different perspective on spirituality, please go check out Kane Cordova. You know, I used to like his videos where he would plant trees, like before hashtag Team Trees. Kane Cordova would take his pay and he would buy sapling trees, and he would make videos where he would dig holes and plant the tree next to like a water source. He couldn't tell anyone where the tree was planted because trolls on YouTube would go find the tree and destroy it. Right. So he had to make videos where it was like you couldn't pick out where it was that he was planting this tree, but he was planting fruit trees everywhere. Right. Like a whole bunch of fruit trees. And I thought, you know, he's like Denver's Johnny Appleseed, you know? Uh, and now he's fallen into this slump where he feels like he's trapped inside of his house and being attacked by demons. Coherent Nonsense thinks all of existence is being recorded for posterity's sake. That's about the closest I get to being spiritual, actually, is a deistic thought that if this is a simulation, that everything that we're doing can be played back and you know, backwards and forwards, and you know, people can, well, people, whoever's running the simulation could start and end at certain points, or like replay certain points to see what was going on, you know. But do the minute details really matter? I don't know. Elon Musk seems to think that chances are we are not base reality and that we're actually in a simulation. I miss our 8-hour hangouts from way back to Raw. And I'll tell you what, uh, the reason why I've been as consistent as I have been daily here on YouTube is because I know that there are people who need that interaction and need that regularity, and I'm trying to be that person for people, but I'm working on getting us back to that usability of uh, Hangouts so that we could actually do this stuff again. I do have Skype and I do have uh, other programs, but I need to get uh, OBS up and running so that I can have people call in and actually be, heard without having to have echoes coming back at them. It's just so hard without Google Hangouts to actually run things because you have to actually set up programs, that are so not user friendly. Poseidon just said you use less toilet paper shitting backwards. Um, do you mean throwing up or mean like sitting straddling the toilet to where you're facing the wall behind the toilet? All right, Bob. If I uh, if I do get it up and running, I will let you know. Anyways, I did see a Thunderfoot video today on his Voice of Thunderfoot channel where his new estimations say that maybe we could get it down to like best case scenario, eventually 40,000 deaths from COVID-19 before we clamp down on this thing and make it uh, not such an issue for everybody. But here's my problem with that. As soon as we let go of a quarantine and a stay at home order, if we have not eliminated all cases of the virus, even the ones that we're not detecting, it's just going to come back. And its spread is all over the US now. Every major city has it. So the uncertainty of that is how are we going to reopen certain businesses in order to have our society go back the way it was? And the horrible answer to that is we're never going to go back to the way it was. And there are some people who don't want that lack of certainty, you know. Um, right now, there are 47,000 deaths worldwide. Now, just dividing that equally around the world, you can just say that that's 15 9/11s that this thing is worth in people dying. But there is a limit to how much uh, terror people can actually take in. So it's actually just one long 9/11 each day. We're hearing like the same amount of news, but in death toll terms, it's like 15 9/11s right now. And the U.S. had almost 1,000 deaths on April 1st, right? So if the U.S. stays on track the way it is and it doubles every 4 days, then we are getting close to the point where just within the US, we're going to have a 9/11 amount of people die every day. Just imagine a plane falling out of the sky, killing 3,000 people every day. And that's going to be a sustained effect for at least like 2 weeks. And that's if people finally get scared. You know, what it's going to take to really quiet this virus down is for people to take these uh, stay-at-home orders seriously. I have not left the house except to throw away the garbage and check the mail since last Thursday. You know, and still I could get it because we do have some contact in my house. People going in and out, but the chances are a lot lessened. And if everyone would just limit the amount of exposure that they have to other people, this would be a lot better. Now they're having to police the fact that people are on all the trails, the hiking trails here in Colorado, trying to just get out of their house because they're stir crazy, and they're passing by each other within that 6 foot bubble you're supposed to keep around yourself, or more, because now they're saying that 2 meters is not enough space. But they're huffing and puffing and going right by somebody else because they're on a dirt path up in the mountains, right? And people are passing right by each other. You know, it's yeah, it's not good. If I were to go to the grocery store right now, I can tell you, uh, they give a square footage of like only a certain amount of people per square foot, and at King Supers, it's 75 people are allowed in the store at a time, and then at Costco, it's 150. Right? Look at the lines where people are supposed to be social distancing before they get in, and people are not. They're right up against each other. Um, it's very retarded. Coherent Nonsense just said, "This is worse than trying to fist a beehive." Hmm. Poseidon wants to know, did I cancel my plans to protest the Easter parade? Uh, I didn't have plans to do that. I did have plans to make a video where I was going to make a recipe that I've been telling myself every year that I was going to make. But anyways, in order to acquire the ingredients, I wanted to go the day after Easter, and that's because it's all the Easter candy goes on sale, and they got the chocolate crosses and the chocolate Jesus fish, right? And I was going to take the pre-made Rice Krispie treats and put them in a saucepan, get them all hot, and then melt the chocolate cross on top of the Rice Krispies treat, and then do like different Halloween style designs on it and whatnot. And then I was going to call it Christ Krispies because of the melted cross on it, and have some fun. But all of the stores having their candy on sale the day after the holiday, I don't know that that's going to be a thing anymore. I think I'm just going to be ordering all my food and then, you know, disinfecting it as it comes in, like the good hypochondriac that stays alive that I want to be. Lamb says he can't wait if we do survive for this to be a ton of social policies that completely destroy our freedoms, like the Patriot Act of 9/11. Yeah, I see it coming. There were already grabs at that with the what was it? The Earn It Act, where they're trying to make platforms more basically more mm, just responsible for the content that's on there rather than the users, right? So culpable, basically. And so, in order to be considered a platform and not a publisher, they have to earn that right by, not letting people be anonymous when they're talking. And what do people do with that anonymity? Talk shit about politicians. Yeah, and removing certain encryptions and whatnot. Alan wants to know if I saw Tiger King. No, but I heard a little bit about it more today because you know, I run into a lot of people online uh, doing telehealth, and apparently it's actually more of something that Misty would actually like to watch than I thought it would be because she's watched all of the different murder whodunits and whatnot on Netflix, everything about serial killers and whatnot. And I heard that there's actually a hit job style story embedded in this Tiger King story. So I was thinking, yeah, maybe this is something that we need to watch. Poseidon says, should Biden do more or less live interviews? Um, I haven't been able to come up with a strategy for Biden to win. I think in his case, polished and pre-recorded is probably the best. And if he could do that with more frequency, like the frequency of a live channel would be, normally, but just make a YouTube channel and just from your basement throw out like 10 videos a day. Yeah, maybe they might be scripted and whatnot, but if he could just do more frequency to look live, you know, it's rough when I'm looking at the nominee for the Democratic Party and saying, is there something you could do to look more alive? Good morning, Yellow Labrador. It's not a sin for you to be watching my show because it is daylight for you, I guess. Oh, Coherence saying that this will affect the attempt at a Mars colony. Oh, for sure, because Tesla has been spending way too much time working on coronavirus outbreak response instead of working on car technology, which actually, if you look at everything that Elon Musk does as a whole, like all the different little companies, they're all about preparing for a Mars colony, right? So the reason why he wants the technology from the electric cars is so that he can have a rover on Mars. And also, if he needs to have power generated up there with maybe no access to coal or, combustible things, he might have to have a nuclear generator, which is going to just put out electricity, right? And so he's going to have to run all of his cars off that. Um, of course, there's SpaceX, but all of his different companies, in a way, are working on a technology that can be translated to the desire to go to Mars. And every bit of uh, his mind that is taken off the task of going to Mars and fighting the coronavirus puts us further back from actually visiting Mars. Jay Height wants to know if I ever believe in God. I don't know if you mean believed or believe now. No, I see no credible evidence for the existence of a deity. That being said, I do regularly give referrals to people to go to churches for support, and also to 12-step meetings, which I consider to be a religious uh, function. And so I don't consider myself too much to be a hypocrite. Most of the time, these are people who already have those beliefs. But I work in a profession where I'm not supposed to challenge people on their beliefs uh, and impose my own. I'm supposed to have them feeling better about themselves, being more motivated to make good changes in their life, and stop doing drugs and alcohol, right? So if I can do those things, I win. I'm doing my job, and addressing whether or not somebody else believes is not really my thing. Um, no, Poseidon, I don't believe in those other things either. Um, as far as like, did I believe when I was younger? I know that my first thoughts about not believing happened when I was 7, and I don't know when we say believe, I don't know that I believed the same way that you believed, right? But my evidence for the non-existence of the Christian God that was taught about in the church that I went to is flimsy now that I look back on it from decades later because I was 7, right? Um, Basically, I did some things that were sins, and I only got rewarded for them and never punished. And I was still seen as a very good kid by all the church members who also, because of the specific denomination that I was growing up in, they felt like they got superpowers from their belief in God. And one of them was the ability to discern the devil and divine truth. So if somebody were lying in front of them, they would know. And it turned out that I was a good enough liar that they did not know. And so I stole some things, I lied about some things, and never got caught, only got the benefits of it. And I was like, well, if the punishment isn't happening and I'm not getting punished for sinning, and these people don't know that I'm sinning, but they pretend to each other all the time that they magically know things, and God's not telling them that I stole and that I lied about it, then are they all just playing make believe all the time? Hmm, right? And so now looking back on it, I was a non-believer at the age of 7. I just had really shitty reasoning. It wasn't a very complete, thought out position. I just began not believing when I was 7 and then got reasons behind that as I grew older. I can remember uh, when I was a teenager listening to a Stone Temple Pilots album, the first one, uh, Core. And uh, during one of the spoken word parts of a song, he was speaking certain Bible verses, and he was talking about turn the other cheek or side. And I was like, hmm, an eye for an eye, a tooth for tooth on one hand, and then turn the other cheek on the other hand. Those are contradictions in the Bible, two different stances in two different parts of the Bible, but they do, in my eyes, contradict. And so I thought about it, and I was like, why would God make a whole bunch of people spread the blood of lambs over their huts in order to be saved? And then, you know, after the birth of one particular person, Jesus, the rules change. And then all you have to do is believe in Jesus and believe that all the stories about him are true. And then you're saved. But before that, you actually had to uh, be a good person and not have an accumulation of magical sticky wrongness from sinning attached to you, right? So the just the way that the rules changed for everyone after the year 0 because of the birth of Jesus, that to me was like, well, shit, that's changing the rules after the game has started. Half the people that had lived, the half before Jesus was born, those people are under a different set of rules than the people after, and that's not fair. And in my mind, I thought that God should be fair and equal to people, right? And this fairness thing, I don't know that actually most Christians believe that he is fair, he or she, whatever, right? And that fairness was something that I was like, how is it that I have an idea of what uh, an all benevolent being should be that is different than what's in the Bible, like that is better, you know? Why is it that I can communicate to somebody that rape is bad and it's one of the worst things that you could possibly do? And you look at the Bible and it's kind of not mentioned that much. If somebody has sex with somebody who's not currently married to somebody else, then they get forced to marry them. So then, like, okay, rape victims that were unmarried, then they were just forced to marry their rapists, you know. And then if you forced yourself on somebody that was married, it was like 50 shekels of a penalty because you had sex with the wrong person because it was owned by somebody else. Like rape in the Bible is not very well defined as an evil, you know. And how is it that I, in my infinite ignorance, can see that there is something like if you're going to make a basic manual for how to live life and have some moral guidance in it, I can see that that's like if I had one page of a list of things that you should not be doing, that would be on my page. And pretty much most people, if they were to list the worst crimes that you could do to another person, if they only got one page, rape would probably fall somewhere on that page. And yet, guy comes down from a mountain after carving a whole bunch of commandments in stone tablets, which takes a long fucking time. Had a lot of fucking time to think about it. And most of what's on those tablets is you better believe in the God that I believe in. It's mostly about if you don't believe the right way, then you're going to get punished. And rape is nowhere on there. Not to mention slavery. It's kind of a thing in the Bible where like people without punishment take and maintain slaves, and if God favors you, then you too could take over the slaves of your enemy and maybe make your enemies into your slaves. And yeah, it's slaves should be obedient to their masters. I'm like, wow, it's you know not exactly how I would write it. Like on my one page, if I were to get one page of things that are wrong for people to do, slavery might be on my page. A couple lines down further from rape, you know, I'm thinking rape's in my top 10, right? Slavery, you know, before I get to the end of the page. And I don't consider myself all knowing. I consider myself to be very lacking in knowledge, even decades later. But as a teenager, I thought, well, shit, here I am, a teenager listening to heavy metal music, and I have better ethics and morals than this purported benevolent being who sent a message through time, through a book to me to try to tell me how to live my life. And I know more about how to be a moral person than he does. Wow, you guys have really continued this conversation in the live chat to the point where I cannot keep up with you. I almost feel semi famous on YouTube for the fact that you guys are writing way too much for me to keep following you guys. You guys are keeping up with yourselves, I hope. But hopefully, this weekend I will have uh, enough of a working solution to replacing Google Hangouts to where I can invite some of you people to talk with me live. We can make some content together and chat. I think I'm still going to start out my shows with whatever thoughts I had from the day. And today it was embracing uncertainty. You're welcome for me bringing weirdos together. I don't know what it is that makes me a magnet for weirdos, but it could be that, unlike some, I think I actually know what it means to have an unconditional positive regard for my fellow human being. Jen says you want a Discord link. While we're still here, let's see. I'm going to open up my Discord. All right, Jen. There's two ways for you to get this Discord link. One is to fake like you're going to give me a Patreon donation, pledge $1, and then remove that pledge real quick. But while you have the pledge up, you get access to the Discord server, and then you get on it, and then you take your pledge away. Right? That's a free way to get in. And then the other way is for me to try to find you. So I'm going off air, guys. I'm going to maybe get a conversation with Jen tomorrow, maybe if she's up to it. And she's been around for a very long time on my channel, so I trust that she's not boring like me. And then, yeah, we'll figure this out one way or another. See you guys tomorrow.